NT Media Productions presents I'm Making It Happen.
There are many ways to enjoy life, like so many ways to count on Popular.
We, all the Insurance Association members, understand that insurance is expensive. We don't want to take any more money from our clients than we have to for them to be adequately insured.
Welcome back, and you're watching I'm Making It Happen. And you know we have the VI Insurance Association, and we've been learning so much about the different policies or the coverages for automobiles and home ownership. And before the break, we discussed, some of the coverages and things that's important in regards to home ownership. You should, even if you don't have a mortgage, you should still insure your home or, whatever property you may own. Also, making sure you're insured to value, 80% or more. Definitely want to insure to the full cost of replacement. That's the best case scenario. And then we also learned about like other, I guess, coverages that you might need to buy, and one of them was flood insurance. Right. A question came up was like, okay, what does flood insurance cover? Does it cover if plumbing issues or if you lose your roof and rain comes down? Like, what is that flood insurance really cover?
Flood insurance is typically designed to cover if there is rising water, and that can be either from a house or property near the water where water comes up through a storm surge, or in the case of island homes, if you live near a gut, if you live near a waterway, the water can come up and flood your house as well. It's not a burst pipe. It's not a house or windows damaged from a hurricane and water comes through. It is simply rising water, whether it be from an ocean or a gut near your home.
So it's groundwater that comes into your home. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I know we've been having a lot of floods around on the island. Have you had a lot of claims?
We haven't had a lot of flood claims, not like they've had in Florida. Hurricane Debbie in Fort Myers Beach, imagine, they just got hit 2 years ago by a major hurricane. They had rising water just the other day, and Hurricane Debbie yesterday, I guess it was. So the U.S. coastal areas are much more vulnerable to flood than we are. Number one, if you imagine the windstorm in the Florida panhandle, there's no place for the water to go. The wind pushes it up against the land, and there's no place for it to go. When the wind pushes water up against St. Croix or St. Thomas, the water can go around us. So we aren't as vulnerable to storm surge, but there are low-lying areas, and the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, puts maps out periodically to designate which homes, which properties are in high-risk flood areas. Lenders, mortgagees will require that those homes have flood insurance, but we hear repeatedly after usually stateside disasters that a large proportion of the homes that are damaged by flood are not in high-risk flood areas. People say, oh, I've lived here 50 years, this house has never flooded. Well, we're seeing with climate change, we're seeing flood happen in areas that have not flooded for a very long time. So don't take it just as what happened in the last 10 years, 20 years. You haven't seen anything because we're but a small portion in the whole big timeline. Things can happen that haven't happened before.
And just real quickly, if you do have flood insurance and there are multiple instances where your home is flooded, is there a cap? Or it's just as many times as you?
Well, the flood insurance industry will put you in a high-risk flood program, which often costs more. But I think the federal government typically will make flood coverage available if they're able. It's an old federal program. It goes back to the 1970s. And they've had financial problems, but the federal government has stood behind it and kept it going.
Yeah. I only ask because recently we've been seeing a lot of areas flooding on St. Croix. And so I can only imagine when I see certain areas of those homes that get floods.
It's important that there's a lot of mitigation that's been done as well. There's been mitigation done in LaGrange, there's been mitigation done in Monbijou, and those areas flood less often. Hopefully they keep the guts clear, and the guts will flow freely when something happens. But there are areas that are repeatedly flooding, and that becomes an increasing challenge. But as long as the local industry, local government does their job, flood insurance should be available.
Perfect. All right, so thank you for that response. So let's get into like the market capacity, individuals having concerns about increase in the rates? What is causing that?
So when we think of insurance, think of this globally, okay? Everything that's affects everything worldwide is all going to be considered when it comes to the reinsurance companies and how they're rating.
Like, let's remind everyone, what does reinsurance mean?
Right, so the insurance companies that write your policy that you see on a general basis every day, the insurance company like Guardian and Dorchester or Island Heritage or Lloyd's, pretty much, they are your primary insurance company. But they in turn go out and they buy insurance to cover their risk. So that secondary market is called the reinsurance market. And that's worldwide. They have, they're responding to disasters worldwide all the time. So as soon as they raise their rates, because the insurance company have to buy insurance from them, so once the reinsurance companies raise their rates, then that's going to affect the primary insurance companies as well. Now, also, if these reinsurance companies are paying out tremendous amounts and billions of dollars worldwide for catastrophes worldwide, comes a time that they're going to say, oh, we got to put a cap on this, we're not going to write any more of that, so they start to reduce maybe the available insurance that they will deploy out there. They will also say, we don't want to write certain types of risks because they're high risk, so we'll see that they'll draw back from writing maybe frame houses, meaning wooden structure houses, or, you know, we don't want a house that's too close to the water, or they'll make, you know, these adjustments because they're in business to make money too, so they can't keep losing. So they'll pull back capacity. So that's where you're going to see it starting to affect us as individual homeowners because the rates are higher. Mm-hmm. The rates are higher, so therefore the rates, you know, you're going to pay higher premiums. The other thing that's affecting it, apart from the capacity, is inflation in general. Okay, there is inflation, and for a long time, homeowners insurance the rates were not being increased. At least not here in this territory, as much as the commercial rates were increased. But I think after Hugo, and John can back me up on that because I wasn't here at the time, my understanding that the rates went very high after Hugo, but then they started decreasing again after a while, and then for a long time, homeowners had the benefit of having very stable rates for a long time. But inflation and the worldwide capacities and the reinsurance market have caused rates to start going up now. And that's what's been happening. You see what's happening in Florida and the Carolinas and those places with their insurance. Even though the rates here are high, over there it's even higher.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. So that's kind of what's been driving the market of late.
So what I understand, and tell me if I'm wrong, is it like supply and demand, and they've reduced the supply
exactly
that they're providing, so they might cap it at a certain amount that they're going to insure or cover?
To put it in a very simplistic terms, John works for Marshall & Sterling, and they have different insurance companies, and I have different insurance companies. So at the beginning of each year, the insurance companies will say, okay, we have X amount of dollars that we're going to allow you to write. Okay, so you say this year, 2024, you can write only $10 million worth of property insurance. And they'll say to InterOcean, you can only write $6 million worth of insurance based on what's available from the reinsurance market. So before maybe in 2022, I might have had $12 million that I could write, and John might have had $20 million he could write, but now it's less insurance available. Okay. So the insurance companies, as I said, are being more selective. Right. They're not going to deploy the limited capacity they have if they cannot write frame houses, if the houses that they see on their book is very badly kept, people have not been, maintaining their homes over years, then it's a poor risk for the insurance company. So they're going to pull back from writing those types of risks.
Okay, I understand. All right, so like if the capacity, if you don't have the amount to write the business that you usually do, then you're going to have to cut back.
Yeah.
And those that are not maintaining the homes or are high risk, they're going to be let go. All right. Okay, great. And my last question in regards to this, in regards to market capacity and in rates, and the rates increasing, individuals might feel like, I just have to ask the question because I know people are thinking it. We have years that go by, like you said, after Hugo, it was high, but then it went down, and so it was many years. And even before Hugo, we never even had a bad hurricane before Hugo, right? Like that. And then Hugo happened, and then years go by, we don't have any issues, and they feel like people might feel like, oh well, I paid into this so long, like why are my rates not being increased? Why am I going to be penalized? Why is it increasing now? We went years without a disaster. Can you respond to that and that thought process?
The single major cost that most insurance companies have is the cost of reinsurance. They will allocate, in times in hard markets, they'll allocate as much as 50%, 40 or 50% of their premium dollar will go to another insurance company just to make sure that they are solvent after a major catastrophe happens. So imagine they have to pay commissions to the brokers and agents that sell the policy, and if they have to part with 35, 40 or more percent of their premium to a reinsurer, that doesn't leave them enough, very much coverage or money to pay incidental claims such as fire and things like that. So during those periods, they're not piling up 100% of the dollars that they're taking in. They're having to pay it to reinsurers, a large part of it, to take a lot of the risk. So the margins that they're making are really not as great as a lot of people think. And then in periods when their reinsurance, when things get tight, as Sandra very well explained, they have to pay more money for reinsurance, and they cut their margins even further. And I think it's important to understand as an insurance consumer that you are paying somebody else to assume a risk for a given period. You are parting with a certain amount of money that you don't have to worry about your house for 12 months, and you may have to pay as much as $4,000 or $5,000 for that, but you can rest assured, sleep well at night, that you don't have to worry if something happens to your home. The insurance company has to worry. They have to buy reinsurance, they have to pay their expenses, they have to pay commissions to make sure that everything will be taken care of, but you can rest assured. And then when reinsurance costs go up, worldwide catastrophes occur, that puts pressure on them and causes them to increase their rates. But at the end of that 12 months, after you've paid your $4,000 or $5,000 in premium, the insurance company has done their job. They have assumed your risk. They have sweated through the 12 months, and maybe they would have had to pay out, maybe they weren't, but they have assumed the risk, and that's what they're getting paid for.
So you're assuming the risk for that certain year.
For that given period, right?
Given period, okay. And I just want to clarify, when you talk about reinsurance now, Marshall and Sterling, Interocean Insurance, and these other insurance companies on the island, they are intermediaries to the insurance company that's taking the risk. Mm-hmm. So people know it's not Marshall and Sterling or Interocean Insurance that is taking on the risk. They are providing the access to the insurance company that is taking on that risk. All right, and then also I just wanted to add that that I have my auto with Interocean Insurance. I have my homeowners with Marshall and Sterling, and when I've had claims, they've paid it out. I didn't have an issue, so definitely it works. You can walk away when you do have the right coverage. And so we're gonna take a break. When we get back, we are going to close out to what are you supposed to know in regards to a disaster? What steps you should take before and after. So stay tuned, we'll be right back.
Good day, my fellow Virgin Islanders. This is your Commissioner for the Department of Planning and Natural Resources, Jean-Pierre Oriel. I'm excited to announce the draft Comprehensive Land and Water Use Plan is ready for your review and comments at planusvi.com. We're asking for your feedback by December 5th. This plan reflects the insights we've gathered at the 15 town hall meetings, working group meetings, and honors decades of past efforts. Now, we need your input as we finalize the Comprehensive Land and Water Use Plan to present it to the Senate before adoption. Please review the draft at planusvi.com and send us your comments by December 5th. Together, let's create a sustainable future for our beautiful Virgin Islands. Thank you for your support and participation.
There are many ways to enjoy life, like so many ways to count on Popular.
I think I need a change up. fine, yeah. And Carlos Furniture have the thing them. Think I need a new sofa. And dishwasher for all my dish them. Right here on Island, all these things you'll find. Just head to Carlos Furniture and spend some time. They have brands like G, Serta, Simmons, Posturepedic. They can furnish any room, any day that you need it. Carlos Furniture, they're the best of the best. Carlos Furniture, to Park St. Thomas, St. Croix, Peter's Rest. Carlos Furniture, 30 years in the biz. Carlos Furniture, quality in the name.
Carlos Furniture delivers 7 days a week, can provide white glove service, and can deliver to the BVI. Carlos Furniture, the place the Caribbean gets its furniture for the past 30 years.
Welcome back, and you're watching I'm Making It Happen with Exceptionally Yours, Nykole Tyson, and we have the VI Insurance Association with us today. We have Sandra Harty and John Harper, and they have been giving us some invaluable information and educating us regards to the insurance options and why things are certain ways, and just definitely bringing clarity to how we should approach obtaining insurance for both automobiles and homeowners insurance. And so with that, we've covered so many things in regards to both autos and homeowners. So let's get into, like, we're in the season now of storms. So what we should be doing in regards to preparing for such a thing? But I mean, overall, we should be preparing for all kind of disasters, which you said is not just hurricanes. It could be fire, flood, and whatnot. So what should we be doing or thinking about when we're preparing for disasters?
Yeah, so exactly. So there are many things that can happen overnight. So don't get so lax and just think that you need to do this during just a hurricane season. I mean, there are things that are specific to prepare for hurricanes, but for example, for a fire, what can you do? You want to make sure that you're keeping like your documentation in maybe fireproof safes. You know, make sure that you have your receipts, your photographs of your house, important documents secure in maybe fireproof safes or a safe deposit somewhere, okay, because that can get destroyed in a fire overnight. All right, and of course you do the same during the hurricane season. You also want to make sure that you keep on hand and you're assessing over time your inventory, because your house insurance, that could also cover your furniture and fixtures in your house. Your personal content is not just the main structure. So you want to keep an inventory of those assets, have photographs before your disaster. Just take some photographs and just keep them on file from before your disaster happens. That goes a long way in helping adjusters after a loss. Okay? One of the things that we saw that came about after Irma Maria were that people didn't have the proper names on their deeds, the properties, and then when it's time to pay out a claim, there were issues because they were not properly documented on the deeds, and banks and adjusting firms and the insurance companies had problems with paying out because of that. Okay. Yeah, that's something that a lot of people didn't think about, and actually I had not experienced it before, but we learned that from Irma Maria, so we definitely want to have people pay attention to how is your deeds recorded.
Do you think that was mostly if individuals inherited a home or something that they had issues?
Possibly. It could be quite possible that that's the case too, and in the case of divorces or stuff like that, anything that changes and getting your legal paperwork done, you want to make sure that you're paying attention to that.
Can I add one thing as well in regards to your protecting your documents? Maybe having a digital file somewhere on a cloud, so that you don't have to even worry about having a fireproof. Right.
So I mean, it's a wide range of age groups. So I'm glad you brought that up, because some older people, they're not going to do that, right? But you younger people, that's your go-to, and that's so automatic for you. So for sure, I'm glad that you brought that up, because then there's a way to keep that stuff in the cloud as well. Yeah. Okay.
And also emailing it to yourself, you could do that, making a file in your email or whatnot. Anything else?
Let's learn from the past. People tend to have short memories on what can happen. One thing I remember from Irma and Maria, at least on St. Croix, was we got so much rain during Irma. Fortunately, not much wind damage, but we got a lot of rain in Irma, and then in the week between, 2 weeks between, we got a lot of rain. So many more trees came down during Maria for us than would have come down otherwise if we hadn't had all that rain. So think about the trees that are around your house that could fall on your house, branches that could come off and fall on your house. Think about all these things and remember them and just keep it in your mind to protect your house. One of the challenges we found is that your past record of claims can affect your future insurability. So that if you can come through Irma and Maria and say, I had no loss on my house, it's going to be more easy for you to find insurance. It's going to be more easy for you to find the best rates. It's going to be easier for you to find the best rates. So we don't want anybody to have losses at all, but if you can protect your insurability for the future, you can save money long term by learning from the lessons that we've already experienced.
I'm glad you brought that up about the trees around your house, because a lot of people will go park their cars under a tree for protection, thinking it's protection, and we had claims. Of course, the tree fell on the car. In my case, at my house, it was actually parked in my driveway, but we had a big queen palm at the front of our house, and that got uprooted and fell on the back of the car that was in the driveway. So you definitely want to take those things into consideration. Remove your car away from trees and other properties like that. You want to secure that.
It's interesting. I think when I was working for the government, I parked my car against the building. And then when it came out, it was a galvanized. It was just like on the car. It wasn't that bad. I didn't make a file a claim or anything like that. And then one time I parked my car like right next to the house. Like I tried to put it like against the house. And it fared okay. Okay. So, but I was concerned about my neighbor's blocks flying up on my car because they were still building. But I am glad you said about the trees because my fence got damaged during the hurricane, and so I trimmed a couple years ago, and I need to trim again so that it doesn't damage the fence again. Okay. Anything else you want to add in regards to preparing for disasters or what they should do after a loss?
Yeah, so after a loss, one of the things you want to do is mitigate. If you have damages, you want to make sure that you're mitigating from further damages, whether it means boarding up, but make sure you're also taking photos of your damages after the loss as well. And but you want to protect what you have. The insurance companies will use that probably as salvage or whatever, but you want to protect what you have. And make sure that you're reporting your claims in a timely manner. Okay. You want to report your claims as quickly as possible.
Yeah, just do your repairs and or do some temporary repairs as you can and get the claim reported as soon as possible.
Oh, one thing, when you're getting estimates for repairs, make sure that you're getting them from licensed professionals, okay? Don't just go get them from anybody, because you want to make sure that these people know what they're doing. The building codes have changed over time. You want to make sure that these people are licensed professionals that you're working with.
Okay. In addition, I just wanted to piggyback on one thing before we close out. And we were talking about, from the crew was talking, and it gave a good explanation. I wanted to just add that in regards to the premiums that you pay every year is like a contract was mentioned.
Exactly.
And so I thought that was a good explanation, in that you have the contract for the year.
An insurance policy is an annual contract.
Annual contract. And it's up that year, and then you move on to the next year in regards to if there's a risk or not. So I thought that was a good way to think about it and explain that. And so we appreciate you for being with us today. We learned a lot about the insurance in regards to automobiles, homes, the co-insurance, what co-insurance is, reinsurance, the insured to value, and what else? And then how to prepare for a loss and mitigate afterwards. Absolutely. Anything else you want to mention before we go? Like, I know you wanted to definitely make people aware that you're really concerned or interested in them and making sure that things go well.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we want to do. We want to make sure that the public are educated about insurance and what you need to do. And the other thing I want to add in, which is to say that our industry is a very broad and lucrative and interesting industry. So I want to make an appeal to you youngsters out there that you should start thinking about insurance as a career. Okay, we are looking for young people to enter our field, and it's a very, very wide field. So think about that.
You can help people, as we're trying to help people protect their property, protect their financial future. One thing I'd like to say is that all of our members really want to help all of their clients understand their insurance better. Ask the questions. Take the time to read your policy and ask the questions, and you will be surprised, possibly surprised, to find out how interested agents and brokers are in helping their clients understand what they have.
Well, you've heard it. This is the VI Insurance Association, and they're so busy, so we really appreciate you, Sandra Harty, for being with us, representing Interocean Insurance, and Mr. John Harper representing Marshall and Sterling, and giving us this really important information, educating the public so that they're aware and can make better decisions, because that's what information is about, so you can make better decisions for yourself and your family. And definitely it's important so that you're underinsured and you're not, when you go to get retrieve what you think is owed to you, then you found out that you didn't select the right amounts or the correct coverage for the time period. So the biggest thing from this whole conversation, I believe, is that you said that your agents are interested to educate the clients, and so make sure you ask the questions. If you don't know, ask the question. All right? Make sure you're up to date. And so we thank you for being with us on I'm Making It Happen, and we thank you for watching I'm Making It Happen with Nykole Tyson. As always, keep thinking outside the box, coloring outside the lines, because it's about you, me, we. So make it happen.
Nykole, we're the VI Insurance Association, and we are making it happen.
Are you?
This was an NT Media production. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share. It's a sociable thing to do.
Good day, my fellow Virgin Islanders. This is your Commissioner for the Department of Planning and Natural Resources, Jean-Pierre Oriel. I'm excited to announce the draft Comprehensive Land and Water Use Plan is ready for your review and comments at planusvi.com. We're asking for your feedback by December 5th. This plan reflects the insights we've gathered at the 15 town hall meetings, working group meetings, and honors decades of past efforts. Now, we need your input as we finalize the Comprehensive Land and Water Use Plan to present it to the Senate before adoption. Please review the draft at planusvi.com and send us your comments by December 5th. Together, let's create a sustainable future for our beautiful Virgin Islands. Thank you for your support and participation.
There are many ways to enjoy life, like so many ways to count on Popular.